Guys, it's official. Georgia is out of excuses. The question is, can they take advantage? Let's go. What's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude, and if you haven't already, don't forget to go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. I do videos just like this every single day. First off, let me make one thing perfectly clear to Georgia fans.
Number one, congratulations on getting Tyke Smith. You needed that.
Yes, it does sting just a little bit for West Virginia, but trust me.
Hello, West Virginia will be fine. Losing Tyke Smith did sting just a little bit, but we do get KJ Martin back. So even if our number one overall pass defense goes back just a little bit, it'll still be a top 10 pass defense. We'll be fine.
And number two, Georgia's loaded on offense and you picked up Tyke Smith. The question is, will you be able to handle the pressure? Will Kirby Smart be able to coach you to a national championship? Because yes, you are a national championship caliber team this year. So all the Georgia fans that are talking trash to me because they got Tyke Smith, that's fine, whatever. West Virginia is taking steps forward and we'll be just fine. The question is,
will you choke again?
For Georgia, all the ingredients are there to get to the playoffs. The question is, can they put it together and actually do it? The recent piece of the puzzle that they attained is Tyke Smith, the talented, and I mean talented, safety from West Virginia. Yes, as a West Virginia fan, that did sting. But the good news for West Virginia is we do get KJ Martin back. He sat out last year. He's a great safety. Tyke Smith was an important ingredient to West Virginia's number one pass defense last year. 61 tackles, 8 of those were for a loss, 5 pass deflections, and 2 interceptions. And Georgia definitely needs Tyke Smith. Tyke Smith himself said the only way he would enter the transfer portal is if Georgia needed him. Georgia did get West Virginia's defensive back coach today, and that's the big connection that got Tyke Smith to Georgia. And of course, Georgia definitely needed Tyke Smith, and there you go. That's how it happened. Tyke Smith is now a Georgia Bulldog. That's where Georgia needs help the most on defense. They lost a lot of production from last year, including Tyson Campbell, DJ Daniel, Eric Stokes, Mark Webb, and also Tyreek Stevenson. He transferred to Miami. So Georgia's defense needed some help. Tyke Smith is a much needed asset for that Georgia defense. I think Georgia's offense could be arguably the best in the nation. They got JT Daniels coming back, and we saw last year that Georgia's offense looked completely different for the better with JT Daniels. They also have leading running back Zamir White. And of course, their wide receiver core is just loaded and amazing. They have the talented tight end Darnell Washington, Dominic Blaylock, Curious Jackson, up-and-comers Demetric Robertson, Arian Smith, and Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint. But the two names that are being talked about on offense are George Pickens and Jermaine Burton. George Pickens sustained an ACL injury and will require surgery, but looking at the timetable, he could get rehabbed in time for that opening game against Clemson. Now for Jermaine Burton, his injury's a little more mild, just a sprain, so he should be good to go. So that Georgia offense is going to be very, very potent. And if George Pickens is ready to go by that Clemson game, you might not be able to stop that offense. Another key ingredient to Georgia getting to the playoffs this year is their schedule. Yes, they do start the season off against Clemson, but Clemson has a really, really young offense this year. Not worried about their quarterback play. DJ Uiagalelei looks really, really good. It's their inexperience at running back and a shaky wide receiver core. Justin Ross still hasn't had full contact yet, so he should be ready for that first game against Georgia, but I'm not sure how reliable he'll be. And that's a winnable game. But after that, the schedule sets up really nicely for Georgia. Really nicely. After Clemson, they get UAB at home, South Carolina at home, and don't look past the Gamecocks. For whatever reason, the Gamecocks have been able to trip up Georgia, even when Georgia was clearly the better team. After that, at Vanderbilt, then they get a much improved Arkansas team at home. Might be a little bit of a test, but I still have Georgia. Then at Auburn. This could be the toughest game after the Clemson game for Georgia. They have trouble at Jordan-Hare. Auburn now has a new head coach. We'll see what Bo Nix does, but that's going to be a tough road game. Still very winnable, and I'm sure Georgia would definitely prefer that draw instead of a road trip to Alabama. After that, they get Kentucky at home. Then they get Florida at that neutral site game in Jacksonville, and Florida lost a ton. I think Georgia wins that game quite easily, to be honest with you. After that, they get an up-and-coming Missouri at home. At Tennessee, man, I'm going to do a whole video on how trash Tennessee is. I think that's a win for Georgia. Then a home game against Charleston Southern, and then on the road to an improved Georgia Tech. Might be a little bit of a test. We'll see how Georgia Tech looks at the end of the season. But overall, the schedule for Georgia is setting up quite nicely with, yes, that tough game against Clemson. Very winnable, though, because Clemson has a very young offense. Then after that, a road trip to a rebuilding Auburn. That's their toughest game. And don't forget, Georgia fans, you are going to have to win the SEC championship game. That game is on the schedule if you can get through this fairly easy schedule. But the thing is, Georgia has this tendency of overlooking people, aka South Carolina. If they can avoid doing that and getting out-coached, Georgia has a pretty clear path to the playoffs. Question is, can they put it all together? Their offense is good to go, especially if George Pickens is fully rehabbed by that first game. Defense is the biggest question, and getting Tyke Smith from West Virginia is a big deal. And trust me, I'm hearing it from my Georgia subscribers. They are pretty pumped. And I know a lot of my fellow West Virginia fans are worried because of that, but it's okay. We got KJ Martin back and a few transfers. West Virginia is doing fine. We'll be okay. My eyes are on Georgia. Getting Tyke Smith was a big piece to the puzzle. The question is, can they actually put the pieces together and actually get to the playoffs? All eyes are on you, Georgia. I know it's a lot of pressure, but you have the talent to do it. There are no more excuses for Georgia. This is the year to get to the playoffs and make a national championship run. We always know that you can recruit, usually a top 5 recruiting class. Kirby Smart is good at building talent, but his coaching decisions have got to get better. The biggest one that's still blaring was choosing Jake Fromm over Justin Fields. That was a dumb one. As long as you can avoid stupid decisions like that, Kirby, your team is a national championship caliber team. It's up to you to not coach them out of the national championship. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you on my next show.